running for Teper.
You guys ready?
You're just a counter. Podcast Center for regarding 365.
We did actually.
And we ran all the way over here for this picture. So,
Oh, great.
yes. Yeah, so what is some of the SharePoint stuff we talked about? This new SharePoint Admin Center is what we talked about on the podcast. That we're talking about being able to focus people. It's SharePoint and other services, right? But it's being able to focus people in their admin experience to what they need to do, right? Their tasks. What is their role, rather than do you get everything? Do you not? Do you being able to target them? So we were excited about what some of that innovation that's coming to SharePoint. So the file viewers in OneDrive and SharePoint.
So I have a question around the file viewers.
Yes.
Is it Microsoft or did you buy it from Oracle?
No, we did. We own the code that we're rendering.
Okay, awesome. It's not the INSO viewer from Stellent. Okay, all right. Yeah,
I'm in love with it. Like the idea of being able to share, because it's all about sharing content with people who may not be in your organization or in your team and have that software installed. Being able to share it and them not have to install software.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, and being able to see it in any context, in opening things up in the web, in the shell, in Teams, and on your intranet site.
Yeah.
For years people have said, hey, I want like these engineering drawings or these medical images. I'm a hospital. I want to do
design drawings.
Yeah, and now we can just do it. We show opening the thing up, but we have this file viewer web part, so you can plop on a page and say somebody's launching a new hotel. And I have on their intranet a news blog about it, and it has the 3D models of the hotel they can spin around.
I'm excited about that. That's probably one of my favorite things we've announced here this week that going to be able to use immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as we get that, it's going to be. It's going to be fantastic to be able to just. I have clients. I have my own company. We're going to be using it, so I'm excited about that.
That's one of those. We love that feature because it's one of those features that just starts working and things get better that day. You don't have to train anybody. It's just like, oh, I can just start open and view these files.
Yes. And then what was the other one? The missing metadata, and being able to call that out with ECM. We're able to call out what is the metadata that's missing, and be able to fill that in on the fly. I think there was a session earlier today about that, showing that off. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, and then of course the flip side of that is when you get these lists and libraries with lots of metadata, you want to be able to filter and navigate them, and so perhaps our SharePoint fans' favorite feature this week is being able to have lists and libraries with millions of items in the new UX and navigate that in a high performance way.
Is that no more warnings about 5,000 logins?
Yeah, that's right.
What is it called? What is it called?
About
a bump and run? Is that what it's called?
Is
that the term? Bump and run with the scrolling, right? You hit it and it bumps and it refreshes. It keeps loading.
Yeah, we on the underlying thing. Back end we call predictive indexing. The UI, if the developers call it bump and run, it's a fun, that describes it well.
I heard that this morning. I'm like, that's actually good. I'm going to use it.
Sometimes you come to these conferences and you say things and they stick. Like we talked about Groupify and Hubify for these two features we announced this week. And that we thought like we would never use those words externally because they're sort of dorky. And now everybody's walking around, I can't wait to Groupify and Hubify my intranet. I've got all these SharePoint sites. I'm going to connect them to Office 365 with Groupify, and I'm going to connect them to each other with Hubify. And it's like, oh, I guess the Oxford English Dictionary is going to get two new terms.
Yes, that's exactly right. Next year, there's going to be new terms in the dictionary. I like
I'm glad to see that the next-gen sync client for OneDrive now supports Azure IP. So you've got rights management services coming through.
Yeah, that was a big deal for a set of customers, so you can sync that client down for those doc libraries that are protected. That was probably there's a lot of great feedback we're getting even this week on what people want next in OneDrive, but that was really, what I would say, the last material deployment blocker we had. Now that we've got that, we've had companies giant companies, Accenture, Lowe's, people with hundreds of thousands of seats that are rolling out OneDrive across their organization. And so, we run into companies with 100 people and they say, is it right for us? And we say, well, Accenture's got it for 400,000 people. You probably can do it too.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about those sort of advanced security features.
Yeah, we're seeing it a lot, especially with GDPR coming up.
Yep.
GDPR.
Absolutely.
It's a big impact. A lot of companies are going to start having to do that May next year when it gets ratified and gets put into place.
No, absolutely.
And I like Microsoft's stance now of getting out in front of that, being ready for that when it actually does go in effect. I mean, I think that's big, showing that making that effort, but also saying, we're a leader here. We're going to be ready, and your organization can be confident that you're going to be in compliance out of the gate with us.
Yeah, you might remember sort of when we did the SharePoint Virtual Summit in May. One of the announcements we made was a couple weeks later, Brad Smith, our president, did a webcast on Microsoft Point of View on GDPR and how we're going to support it and help customers. So, even well before I think people had heard of the acronym, we were out there trying to educate.
I think we've got over that hump because there's a lot of what is this GDPR? Like, what is this? Now we've got over that hump where people now understand it, but you're already going.
Yeah,
I mean, we're ready.
Yep. We have meetings and status on GDPR every week in the Office team. We're working hard on it.
SharePoint 2019, the last question. SharePoint 2019.
Yeah.
Great announcement.
Yes.
Good to hear. Yeah, no, everybody should go to the cloud. They should. Better security, better experience. You can focus your energy less on managing servers and more on helping business value. Almost any of the security concerns that anybody has, we can address and actually do better on. But there are some companies in some industries and some geographies where it's just not entirely practical. And we've said since last May when we came out with the new roadmap that we're committed to the server. We shipped 2016, we shipped Feature Pack 1, we did a small Feature Pack 2 update. And so we thought it was important, big event for Microsoft to just be really clear. People should go to the cloud, but if you can't, we're committed to the server, and we'll have another server release.
No, hybrid's a journey. Yeah. Hybrid is not a journey, actually. It's an end state.
For many companies.
For many companies.
Absolutely.
In the UAE specifically, where content cannot be moved outside of the borders, we have a lot of that coming through.
Absolutely, and so we're, the team's working hard on taking, a logical subset of SharePoint Online and turning it into a great server release. And it'll be next year before we know exactly the features that make it, but we wanted to, since Ignite's such a big moment, to say, unequivocally we're committed, and not just for SharePoint, for Exchange, Skype for Business, the Office apps, and so it's been great to see.
All right,
we're excited about that.
Thanks, Jeff, for talking to us.
Oh yeah, thanks guys. Thanks as always for all the support.
Yeah, thank you.